Right there. God bless you.
I gotta get business cards printed for my entire staff, but where do I even?
That was easy.
Oh, okay, Staples. But can I have bigger stuff printed too, like huge signs and banners?
That was easy.
Nice. And what if I had to ship a package?
That was easy.
Have my passport photo taken?
That was easy.
Coffee and snacks?
That was
What about
easy.
the latest laptops?
That was
Earbuds
easy.
and headphones?
That was
Office
easy.
chairs?
That was easy.
I think I also need to get some staples.
Seriously?
I had to ask.
For everything your business needs to get the job done.
Staples.
As a reminder,
That was
manual
easy.
impulsive
Why'd I go to the
restraint
doctor?
recovery is
My
not
heart
permitted.
would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if a day fit, the risk of stroke remains. You have symptoms. Contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
If you want to know what I'm thinking about, meet me here on 850 WFTL weekdays at 3, The Joyce Kaufman Show.
This traffic report is a service of Schumacher Auto Group. Come, join the family. Visit our website at schumacherauto.com. We have one accident to avoid here in Palm Beach County, I-95 northbound, just south of Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard. The 3 right lanes are blocked here. Please use caution approaching the area. Traffic is a service of Massage Envy in the traffic center.
For hatch opening procedures, which will require bringing the vestibule, the space between the 2 hatches, between the International Space Station.
ForYourRights.com.
Together.
Good morning, everybody. Heavy rains are already moving through.
There we see the orbital sunrise making its way over top of the International Space Station as they continue their pursuit of each other, now angling over at North America. And there in the center screen, if you look at the topmost, pardon me, the Dragon now perfectly aligned over top of the International Space Station, now looking down at that Node 2 Zenith port, and a great view just off the bottom portion there. That is the Dragon Endurance spacecraft that it'll be just alongside of. So Dragon has reached waypoint 0, and on initial comms earlier that the teams on the ground, once reaching waypoint 1, pardon me, have been allowed to.
It's almost like watching paint dry. Paint drying might be more exciting.
And targeting and docking in about 14 and a half minutes from there. Go, no go polls for docking in about 7 minutes.
Margaritaville RV Resort.
Continuing.
Plus, for a limited time, make 0 payments for 45 days on the RV.
To waypoint 2, there will be a pause. Make sure everything is lined up just perfectly before that final approach and docking.
Real food for a real good deal? Pollo Tropical $7.99 chicken Tropi Chop Bowl is where it's at. Get our juicy 24-hour marinated grilled chicken with our famous black beans, rice, and signature homemade cilantro garlic sauce. Then
This is Mission Control Houston as Dragon Grace and the spacecraft carrying Axiom Mission 4 and their 4 astronauts continuing their approach to the International Space Station. They have just made their way past waypoint 1, which had them at 220 meters away from the space-facing port of the International Space Station's Harmony module. And now on the path to reach waypoint 2, teams on the ground have concurred or agreed that they will take a brief pause at waypoint 2, which is 20 meters away, to make sure everything is aligned precisely. And there you see the view from Dragon. And that
I'm not going to lie, I do find this interesting. It's just not all that interesting to me.
Space Station as the 2 craft navigating its way over North America, coming into an orbital sunrise and daytime period.
Isn't your father's aura off the charts in his true classic outfit?
Isn't my vibe just hitting different now? You should have seen how I risked.
Houston station on the big loop. Dragon attitude is still as expected, and station is ready for docking.
Houston copies. At waypoint 2, Dragon will briefly pause to align for docking, then automatically resume approach.
Station copies.
You just heard great communications on the big loop from Station and Dragon, as well as the teams in Houston and in Hawthorne for SpaceX and NASA, as the Dragon Grace spacecraft continuing its approach to the International Space Station, carrying Axiom mission for Commander Peggy Whitson, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of ISRO, Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski of ESA,
Dragon
and
SpaceX
Tibor.
soft capture ring extension complete. Dragon will continue through waypoint 2 without a hold.
Second copy, no hold at waypoint 2, and good rating extension.
Great communications there. They were anticipating a brief hold to make sure everything aligns, but Dragon Grace continuing on what has been so far so good. A great rendezvous at the International Space Station. They will proceed to continue past waypoint 2. And you also heard in the communications with NASA astronaut Nicole Ayers, the station ready for docking. And a great view of the SpaceX Dragon Grace spacecraft making its glacial approach to the International Space Station. And the view from the space station looking up as it approaches the space-facing or Node 2 Zenith port of the Harmony module. We are about 4 minutes away from the waypoint 2 arrival, which again, they are expecting to move right past through without a hold. That is at the 20-meter mark, and proceed right on into docking, a soft capture, and then capture ring retraction and
Story.
drive.
Check. Oh, by the way, hold it. Yes.
On the big loop, ground is go for approach 2 and approach
We are
is
not at
allowed.
war right now.
Reminder, ensure the visors
We're
are
talking-
closed
yes,
prior
that's
to
sure.
Dragon's
Understood.
approach.
Ground is go. Ground is go.
Dragon is inside the crew hands-off point. Retreat and breakout are not permitted.
Dragon copies, and we have visors down, and we are go for docking as well. And copy on the approach. Inside 2, chop.
SpaceX copies, visors down. SpaceX crew is go for docking.
All great communications there as the communications from the ground up to the SpaceX Dragon Grace spacecraft, as visors are down on the 4 astronauts inside as they continue their approach to the International Space Station, now nearly 7 minutes away from that initial contact. Dragon and the International Space Station now making its way over the northernmost territories of North America and Canada and heading towards the Atlantic Ocean, as we are now 7.5 minutes away from the approximate docking time, as Dragon will move smoothly past waypoint 2, meters away And continuing its fine tuning and approach, you see little plumes coming off the spacecraft. Again, those are those thruster firings continuing to inch and adjust the spacecraft towards the orbiting laboratory. Dragon continuing to get bigger and bigger from the viewpoint of the International Space Station as waypoint 2 about 90 seconds away, and there it'll be just a mere 20 meters away. And there the spacecraft will focus on aligning its docking system with the docking adapter and then fly in to make the initial contact and give us what we will call that soft capture, or the soft capture ring will retract. And then the hooks will drive to form the hard mate. And that capture, or that initial contact, coming in about 6 minutes from now. Approaching 30 seconds away from waypoint 2 arrival, in which the Dragon spacecraft will be about 20 meters away, just called out 30 meters, so continuing its close in to the International Space Station. Dragon Grace now 25 meters away. Dragon has now reached waypoint 2, 20 meters away from the International Space Station, and will continue its approach to the International Space Station. And there you can see a great view of that zenith port, that space-facing port of the International Space Station's Harmony module. As the Dragon spacecraft right now sitting at waypoint 2, just 20 meters away.
Houston station per step 4 in block Bravo. Dragon attitude is as expected.
Houston copies. Station Houston on the Big Loop. Dragon is on final approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 and 1.102.
Station copies. Monitoring per steps 5 and 6.
And there you heard it. The final steps relayed up to the crew for final approach and docking have been given as we continue to see Dragon Grace spacecraft close the gap between them and the International Space Station. Now, just before the spacecraft reaches the international docking adapter for that soft capture, you'll hear the call out CHOP, or crew hands off point, which Dragon will continue its journey and make that initial connection, that soft capture, in those final few moments.
SpaceX Dragon, 10 meters.
10 meters.
Inside 10 meters, a little less now than 30 feet away, is all that separates Dragon Grace from the International Space Station.
Five meters.
5 meters.
Life talks in the interceptions for rape, incest, and instances in which the mother's life is at risk. She believes people mistakenly think that she's in the